I was thinking Jack Della Maddalena would lose. He got injury and I was like almost 2 years without fight.
Yeah.
And then he come to different level, bro. He was like gonna be a board fight by points and things like that. But bro, what he did was really good work. He grew up a lot.
Yeah, but
He come a different level.
Yeah, but Islam is a different animal. If there's one thing that I could say in that fight, Islam Makhachev, he gets on top of you.
Yeah.
He's a blanket, bro. The top control that Islam has in comparison to Bilal is completely different.
You can still see yourself going back down to welterweight, or are you looking to just stick within it?
Just focus on this fight, but after that we will see. But we always have some different plans, but we'll see what's going on.
And who do you think's going to win in the fight between Jack Della and Islam?
It's a good fight, but a tough fight. I go a little bit more on Islam.
This fight keeps pulling people back because nothing about it is tidy. Islam moves up and dares gravity to matter. Jack stands there with a belt and a poker face that doesn't blink under pressure. It isn't just wrestler versus boxer. It's a question about which truth survives when the air gets thin and the room gets heavy. People thought the move was simple math. Bigger men, slower shots, easier to see. Then they watched how Islam turns stillness into traps and traps into rides. The man doesn't chase chaos, he manufactures safety. Jack does the opposite. He invites risk and taxes it with clean touches that sound different when they land. The result is a fight where both answers feel right depending on the second you freeze the frame. That's why your timeline won't let it go. The story keeps rewriting itself before the bell ever rings.
I've seen Islam, bro. He's a big guy. He's sucking out a lot of weight to get to 55. I think he might start doing better at 70. Problem is though, Jack is special. We're gonna see just how special he is if he beats Islam Jack, #1 pound for. Wow, that's impressive. You know, I'm leaning towards Islam, brother.
Oh, really?
You know, but I really think it's gonna be a tough fight for him, but a great fight, man.
Jack was able to defend takedown attempts by Bilal.
Bilal has the best cardio in MMA, but Bilal doesn't have Islam's technique. Not same technique. Not same. Very good, very aggressive. Bilal never stops. A dog. Attack. But Islam is like smart, man. Boom. You know, Islam's level of wrestling is above. The stand-up game is improving. I don't think he could go stand-up in the beginning with Jack. Jack has way better hands, way better range, faster, stronger. But as the rounds go on later and later, he could do.
Montreal changed the conversation. Bilal brought endless steps and a gas tank that usually makes men guess. Jack didn't guess. He jabbed first, framed when he had to, and punished the urge to close distance. No panic, no wasted motion, just choices that bled the clock in his favor. The lesson wasn't Bilal isn't Islam, everyone knows that. The lesson was posture, head over hips, hands that return home after every shot. A center line that never stays still long enough to be wrapped up. Jack didn't need a miracle sprawl, he needed a string of correct answers. He found them. That win wasn't a magic shield against takedowns. It was a map for surviving them long enough to make the judges feel damage. Against Islam, the map has to be sharper, the penalties harsher, the exits cleaner. Montreal proved Jack can refuse to be rushed. And that leads to the next question. Why did Islam choose a heavier room in the first place? This wasn't a man running from problems at lightweight. It was a man who stopped pretending the cut wasn't a cost. He left the throne on the table and stepped into a division where every clinch feels thicker and every mistake echoes. That isn't arrogance, that's intent. His style isn't built on speed you lose when you climb the ladder. It's built on sequences that don't care how big you are. Feet placed a certain way, hands turning your hips when you think the exchange is over. Trips that happen inside boring moments. Islam doesn't need the slam, he needs the angle. When he gets it, seconds get heavy. Minutes do what he asks. Rounds slide to his corner without a headline. He wins by making judges feel comfortable checking his name. That's the superpower Jack has to interrupt without gifting a clean entry. Which brings us to the part everyone argues about, the actual weapons. Islam isn't a single-leg merchant, he's a collector. Collar ties that turn your eyes, inside trips that arrive while you're fixing your stance, rides that make you forget what your back wanted to do a second ago. He layers small wins until the clock looks friendly. Jack's weapons answer questions fast. A jab that sets boundaries without a speech. A right hand that sounds like a verdict. bodywork that convinces you to flinch low a half beat earlier than you want to. He doesn't admire his work, he resets into stance and taxes your next idea. This is where belief gets tested. If Islam can move Jack to the fence and make him post, the room shrinks. If Jack keeps the middle and lands first touch often enough, Islam's entries get honest, and honest entries get punished. There's no comfort zone. There's only who chooses where the next exchange happens. But tools mean less without the room that forged them. Jack didn't build his answers alone, the lab credits matter. Craig Jones understands how to survive Islam's positions long enough to create restarts that the public misses. Volk's DNA lives in those drills, urgency in small bursts, hips that don't donate angles, exits that look ordinary until you try to copy them. You saw traces in the title win, less panic on the fence, quicker pummeling, disciplined hands on every break. The idea isn't to erase the chain, it's to sand it down until the links slip. 5 seconds here, 10 there. Not dramatic, just expensive. If Jack can make every hold a toll booth, the total becomes real by championship time. If he can't, patience turns into pressure, and pressure into riding time that doesn't need applause to count. All of which creates the paradox at the center of this fight. To stuff an entry, you often need your feet under you. To avoid the cage, you must stay light. Set too heavy, and Islam turns a frame into a trip. Float too light, and he walks you to the logo on the wall. You're solving one problem by borrowing another. Islam will happily borrow all night. He doesn't need the round to look violent, he needs it to look inevitable. A hand on the wrist, a head under your chin, a shelf for your leg. Judges feel the order of it and breathe out. That sigh writes 10-9 more than most people admit. Jack's counter is simple, ugly, and brave. Hurt a man who hates being hit clean. Tax every touch. Don't chase the home run early. Demand respect early, then take the overhand when his level changes get honest. Every time he resets, make the price visible. But fights aren't solved by geometry alone, the human noise matters too. Championship weeks collect voices. Some love Jack's calm and his scrambles. Some see Islam's patience as a machine that doesn't care about opinions. A few point to body shots as the key to poisoning level changes. Others warn that elbows on a ducking head become handles for trips if you miss. Size gets talked to death. Yes, 15 pounds is real. So is timing. So is the referee's tolerance for wall work. So is how a glove sounds at 170 when it hits bone. These are the quiet factors fans pretend don't matter until they do. Then there's ambition. Every analyst with a stake in 170 has an angle. Some praise Jack to keep the division moving, some back Islam to test the room's ceilings. None of them fight the rounds. The cage ignores opinions, then charges interest, which leaves the part everybody wants, but nobody can agree on, how it looks when it ends. There's a version where Jack ruins the plan early with clean bodywork, a tempo jab, and a knee split up the middle when Islam's tie looks lazy. There's a version where Islam stacks takedowns, floats on hips, lands knees to the ribs and short hands to the ear until ambition turns into patience and patience turns into 49-46. There's even the chaos version. Scramble, half break, straight right, stumble, swarm. The most likely, slower. A chess match that makes every inch expensive. First 7 minutes answer the only real question. Does Jack's first touch change Islam's speed? If yes, we get a wrestler who must retime under fire. If no, we get a man who builds a museum of small wins while the room argues about activity. If Jack holds the center and taxes entries, he keeps the judges awake to damage. If Islam turns the fence into a conveyor belt, he rocks you to sleep with control. Both are plausible. That's why this won't stop trending. When it's done, one blueprint gets copied and the other gets rewritten. Either way, the debate lives. And that's the part you came for, the argument that refuses to end when the horn does.